You do not want to miss this episode. We're going to do a book review of one of our favorite books, The 5 a.m. Club. Now, if you want to be successful, we always tell you to copy what other successful people are doing, and this is it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Control and Compound. I'm Darren Mitchell. Joining me as always, Christina Wyatt. Christina, how you doing this morning?
Hi, Darren. I'm doing great. I really enjoyed this book, so I'm very excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and we're recording this at 5:01 a.m., so I know. I was gonna email you this morning at 5 o'clock, and I'm just like, "Make sure you're up. It's the 5 a.m. book review day." Yeah, this was a really cool book, and I think, we're not experts on this. We're always sharing what we do in the morning and the nighttime routine and stuff, so we're gonna kinda walk through the book, talk about what other people are doing, share some of what we're doing, but, anyway, looking forward to it.
Yep. Before we dig in, though, I just want to remind everybody if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please make sure you subscribe and leave that 5-star review for us. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and click that bell button so you always know when new content is coming out. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Control and Compound on Instagram and TikTok.
Christina, let's dig into kind of what the book is about, and it's a kind of in the title that it's the 5 a.m. Club. But one of the fascinating things is the book's been out for a while, and international bestseller, billionaires, sports people, top performers, follow it and use it and stuff. And lo and behold, Robin Sharma, raised in Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia, Canada. I see this guy speak. I've watched some of his YouTube videos and presentations, and I was like, at no point would I have guessed Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia, but go Port Hawkesbury. Yeah, good Canadian.
Yeah, not far from us, which is kind of cool when we were digging into it. I knew he was a renowned speaker and talked on leadership and personal development. I didn't know that it was that he grew up so close to home.
There you go. Okay, so Christina, overview of the book. What's the book even about?
Yeah, so it's pretty cool because instead of it just being like a self-develop, self-help kind of a book, it's written as a quirky story. So it's actually a story that's telling you, and the story is based on this quirky billionaire that is mentoring a struggling entrepreneur and an artist, and he's trying to teach them how to transform their lives by waking up at 5 a.m. and really owning their morning. So it gets a little bit dramatic throughout it, in spots, but like the message is really clear. If you can get a handle on those early mornings, it's going to be your secret weapon for, growth, productivity, clarity throughout your day. So the neat thing is instead of just telling you how it is, he tells it in a story so that you can pick up on those key points yourself as you're reading about others kind of going through the process, the mentoring process with this billionaire.
I love early mornings. I find they're the most productive time. But before we kind of dig into the bulk of the book, like for me, it all starts the night before if you want an early morning. Like, unless you have your nighttime routine down, it's really hard to get that morning routine, and I'm not always good at it. I go in spurts where I get great at it, and then I kinda fall off, and then I gotta get that discipline back. But if you don't have a good night's sleep, then it's really hard to get up at 5 a.m. and do all the things we're gonna talk about. So I think it really starts the night before, like, whether it's your nighttime routine, a 3, 2, 1, before you go to bed, stop eating 3 hours before bed, stop drinking 2 hours before bed, no screen time an hour before bed, and that wind down or whatever works for you. Um, but if you have a good nighttime routine, it's much easier to get that 5 a.m. alarm going.
Yeah, absolutely. And they say that you need at least 7 hours, 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. Sleep is so important. I know you've been on a sleep journey a bit, Darren, and been sharing these things with me. I am lucky enough to be a good sleeper, so I'm very thankful for that because you won't catch me after 9 o'clock. I'm a 5 a.m. waker upper. I get up at 5 a.m. every day. That's where I find that I do best. But you can't catch me after 9. Like I'm gone. I hit the pillow and I'm gone. But you're right. Focusing on sleep. If you're not getting those 7 hours, it's going to be really hard to get up and be part of the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah, and again, everyone's different, but I think, you know, but I saw a stat, 80% of self-made multimillionaires are early risers, and then another stat that said 100% of stats are inaccurate or lies. So, again, it's one of those self-reporting. It's like, "Hey, what time do you get up?" It's like, "I get up at 2 AM with Mark Wahlberg, and I hit the gym for 2 hours," and, okay. Like, not everyone's gonna be able to do that, but again, for me, and I think for a lot of people, staying up later, it's that unproductive time, right? And it was those times when you're in your 20s and you stayed up till 2 and 3 in the morning, and, yeah, it was great, and you slept in till noon, and, you didn't feel great the next day, whatever you're doing the night before, but they're not productive hours. And then even if you're not, like, going out and having drinks or whatever, it's still that, what are you gonna do between 9 and 11? You're gonna binge watch, Netflix, you're gonna do something like that versus you get up at 5 in the morning. Chances are you're not gonna get up at 5 in the morning and watch a couple shows on Netflix. Just getting up at 5 in the morning, it's just a whole different set of or the productivity is just completely different for me anyway. I'm more creative, I'm focused, and then no distractions. There's not people bugging us, we get an awful lot of emails and calls and all kinds of stuff every single day, and to be able to get up and do that efficient work in the morning, before, the world really starts falling down around you. I love it. All right. So let's get into the big idea. He calls it the 20-20-20 formula. So walk us through the 20-20-20 formula.
Yeah, so this is one of the biggest takeaways from the book is that yes, you get up at 5 a.m., but what are you going to do with that extra time once you get up and you get out of bed? Well, he talks about using that first hour for the 20-20-20 formula. So the first 20 minutes you want to move. So intense exercise, get your body going in those first 20 minutes. The next 20 minutes you want to reflect. So he talks about, journaling, meditating, simply sitting in silence, but reflecting. I also at this one I like to do gratitude too. If you got a gratitude journal, that works well from the reflecting side. And then the next 20 minutes is grow. So you're reading, you're listening to a podcast, you're studying something that builds your mind. So he teaches us, like in that hour, he actually calls it the victory hour, that you want to spend that hour in these 20-minute increments and really tap in and be more focused and become a powerful version of yourself for that day. So you take that hour back for yourself. So you're a little bit selfish, right? You take that hour back for yourself, and I think that's hard for a lot of people to do is be selfish and work on themselves. And he really drives home the point that you have to do this, and it's going to make you grow as an individual if you do.
Yeah, I love it too because for those listeners with kids and stuff, like, we all love spending time with their kids, but they're not your most productive hours from a business and self-development point of view. So that, hour or 2 in the morning before the rest of the house gets up and starts needing you, like, that is just sweet time. Um and, like, I follow a lot of Andrew Huberman too, and now sometimes I get frustrated with Andrew Huberman, but he's like the intense exercise, and he tries to delay caffeine, because, it's like a reward. You can delay caffeine, and then you're less sluggish to be tired in the afternoon if you delay it 90 minutes. But again, you listen to some of this stuff, and it's like, get outside and get the sunshine every morning and do this. And, I'm listening to this in February in Nova Scotia going, all right, Andrew Huberman, I don't live in Los Angeles. Okay. There's no sunshine. There hasn't been sunshine in 4 days. Um, but again, whatever you can do to try to get your circadian rhythm going. Okay. So exercise, and it's going to be intense according to Robin Sharma.
Yeah, he said, "Get your body moving." So that's how the billionaire had stated it, get your body moving. I myself, 20 minutes, you might think I need more than 20 minutes for exercise, but you can do that after this hour too, right? If you're more of like an hour gym goer, I feel that you can, do that afterwards. But even I know you once told me, and I take this one, Tara, is just getting up and stretching at like the first thing to do in that first 20 minutes. I think it's super important to get the stretching in. He says intense exercise, but I'll tell you that stretch could change your world if you get up and you stretch properly in the morning. I know it sounds funny, but it's so true.
When you're as inflexible as me, that 20 minutes of stretch is an intense workout. Um, yeah, no, I stretch every morning for the last probably year now, and, you know, um, I'm hoping to be regular flexibility in a few more years. But it's amazing just to even in a month or 2 of stretching every morning, how much, you improve. But yeah, it does energize you and get you going, and then, you know, knowing to have something to do first thing in the morning as opposed to, hitting that snooze button or reaching for your phone or something like that, like to say, "Nope, I wake up, I get up, I stretch for 20 minutes." Boom, and then you're stretching for 20 minutes, thinking of your next 20, thinking of your next 20, so, that's cool. Okay, so intensive exercise, and then reflect, journal, prayer, medicate, or simply sit in silence. What's the purpose of this? This is just calming your mind? What's the goal here?
Well, the goal is to really just reflect and build on yourself. So this is, a personal growth side of things. I think for myself personally, just taking the time to do that gratitude journal every morning really puts your life into perspective, and it brings back abundance to your world. Like, if you're grateful, you're gonna see the good in more things. Like if you can pick out things that you're grateful for throughout the day, you're gonna be a happier person. And I think taking the time to reflect on that, reflect on your day, reflect on your growth, it's going to put the world back into perspective for you.
So the next one I really like too, the 20 minutes of really investing in yourself, trying to make yourself better. And 20 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but you have so many people, me included in this, it's like, oh, I got to read this book. Oh, I got to listen to this podcast. I got to do that. And you never find the time. It's kind of like our EOS. Like there's too many things sometimes. But if you break it down, from for EOS into quarterly or weekly goals, okay, well, 20 minutes a day of say reading a book that you wanted to read, that's gonna, make you better. Well, that's 600 minutes at the end of the month. Okay. So now we've got 10 hours of reading in. So, it doesn't sound like a lot, 20 minutes, but 20 minutes when you start 20 minutes every single day and you start just consistently doing that, it's a great way to get through a book too.
Well, it's building those habits, right? You're building that habit, and you're building on that. That you think it's small, but it stacks, right? It starts getting bigger and bigger as you build on it.
Yeah, it goes back to the Atomic Habits book we talked about. It's habit stacking, right?
Exactly.
All right. So why does this matter to wealth builders, right? I mean, that's people listen to us, they wanna learn how to be wealthier and how to grow their wealth. Why does it matter for wealth builders, this 5 AM club?
I really think it's about investing in you. We talk about the three big things that do what wealthy people do, number 1, and we know that wealthy individuals tend to invest in those 3 main things. They invest in themselves, they invest in their business, and they typically invest in real estate. But investing in you is always number 1 because you make the greatest returns for yourself. So I think taking that victory hour for yourself, like I mentioned, is how you're going to invest in you. And it's going to give you, you've got that quiet space in the morning. You're going to be able to think clearly about your goals. You can strategically plan your business, your investments. You're always reading and you're learning, like you talked about, and reflecting on decisions, resetting your mindsets. You're compounding that investing in you. We like compound growth, right? We love compound growth, especially when it's uninterrupted. So if you can get this going every single day, you're going to have uninterrupted compound growth in you by investing in yourself, which I think is huge.
Yeah, I've got 2 quotes here I love. It's, "As you start your morning, so you construct and build your day." And, it's, the old expression, getting up on the wrong side of the bed. You get up cranky and you get up not focused and mad about something, well, it's gonna be really hard to have a productive day. But if you get up and follow the 20-20-20 or some similar thing in this, you're bulletproof by 6 AM. You're ready to take on the world. Your mind's right, your body's right, you're focused, you're clear-headed. So I love that. And then the other quote was, "Sweat more in training and you'll bleed less in war." So prepare yourself. Work on yourself, invest in yourself. So, okay. Anything else before we get to the next section, Christina?
Yeah, there was a couple things that I mentioned it a bit earlier, but that day stacking. So it's that building of the habit, because a lot of people are thinking, yeah, that's great, 5 a.m. and they might do it once a week or, every couple weeks they're gonna get up at 5 a.m. and they're gonna put that extra in. And that is not the way to do it. You wanna do it every single day. And in the book, they talk about, well, what about taking the weekends off? And no, you don't wanna do that. The best way to do that, to do this, is to day stack. So you treat each day like a building block. I've been working on this myself with my stacking of the days at the gym, like a Monday on to Tuesday, Tuesday on to Wednesday, Wednesday on to Thursday. And I'm stacking these blocks because over the weeks and the months, it's going to build it into that habit, and you're gonna enjoy doing it, and you're gonna be more productive over time. So he does talk a lot about not it's not just a once off, right? You really want to get into the habit of it, which brings me to consistency and discipline over motivation. So this is a big one for me. And I got to put this in my head a lot of the time because I'll tell you at 5 a.m., my bed is telling me to stay in it the majority of days. I'm not going to lie. The bed says it's much comfier right here. Let's stay in it. And it's not the motivation that's getting me up, it's the discipline. So some days I have the motivation and it's like, I'm feeling great. I'm going to jump out of this bed and I'm going to get on the treadmill. And then there's other days it's the discipline that's going to get you up. And I think practicing discipline is something that you can do for yourself. That is going to be the greatest thing you can ever do for yourself. Because if you can do mind over matter and you can discipline and make sure that you're, doing the things that you want to do, motivation's great, but if you can get that consistency with the discipline. That's where you're going to see huge results, especially as I know I find like with entrepreneurs and business owners. We need that discipline because there's so much that we want to do and we want to achieve, and without it, we'll never get there.
Yeah. You and I always talk about if we don't exercise first thing in the morning, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
happening.
no.
Because as entrepreneurs, all of a sudden the day, once your day starts, it's like nonstop till the end of the day. So being disciplined to get up to get that exercise in. Um, my brother was focused. He just celebrated a century club. So not the shot of beer like we did in university every minute for an hour for 100 minutes, but it was 100 days in a row of exercising. And, that's challenging when he travels consistently for work and is getting up at 3 o'clock in Saskatoon to go to the gym but that again, you talk about that stacking. Once you start doing it, then it builds and builds and builds. So, very cool. Okay, now, is this for everyone? Because I know we got people out there listening going, "You 2 are nuts. I am not getting up at 5 a.m. You're crazy." So is this for everyone, Christina?
I think it is for everyone, but it doesn't have to be at 5 a.m. Okay, that's where I'm gonna. So some people are definitely night owls. I listened to a sleep expert a couple months ago at a conference that I was at, and he said that not everybody is a 5 a.m. person, and that's okay. As long as you're getting your 7 hours of sleep in, you're okay. And I think that if you're still doing that 20 20 20 in that first hour of your day, it's gonna work for you. Now, unfortunately, for a lot, if you're a parent with young kids, you've got to do the 5 a.m. because your kids are probably getting up at 6, right? But if you're a night owl and you tend to do better at night and you're waking up at 6 or 7, we'll just take that victory hour at 6 or 7 instead, right? So like the real win is practicing and the consistency, and whether it's at 5 o'clock or 6:30, whenever works, you're still reacting to that morning, you're still building on yourself, you're still following the process, right? So I don't think it has to be at 5. 5 is great though. I do enjoy 5 myself because then it's done. You got it done, you're ready to go.
Yeah, I think just having that morning routine, right? Having that morning routine where you get up and you know exactly what you're gonna do instead of you're gonna kill time. And again, I go back to that night before, like, figuring out what you're going to wear the next day. Or for me, if I'm exercising in the morning, it's like I'm going to set out my exercise gear. So it's like sitting right there. So when you wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, it's right there. I know exactly what I'm doing now. So anything you can do the night before to make your morning more productive, I'm a big fan of.
Like smoke up for success.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So final thoughts and takeaways, Christina. Would you recommend the 5 a.m. club? Should people read it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, it's not your typical self-development book where there's no story to it. Like I like reading story. I'm like a novel reader, so I enjoy a good story. I enjoy a good romance book too, right? So I love a good story. And that's what I think I really liked about it is because it taught me a lot, but it also had a really cool story along with the journey that kind of kept you you kept you on your toes a bit as to who's this billionaire, what's going on. So it was a great read for me. I learned a lot and I enjoyed it too.
All right. Yeah, no, it was an easy read too. It wasn't like hard. Um, let's leave everybody. Yeah, you put together a little challenge for the week for people that are saying, all right, what are my baby steps to work towards a morning routine or a 5 a.m. club? What's the challenge for the week?
All right, so challenge to all of our listeners, and please in the comments below, drop it. Tell me if you did it. I'd love to know how it worked for you. But if you can just wake up 30 to 60 minutes earlier than usual, so we can get up 30 minutes, 60 minutes. Now, if you already get up at 5, you don't have to do that. You're good. You got to 5. But if you're not up at 5, 30 to 60 minutes earlier, and use that time for that 2020 rule. Right? I want you to move in the first 20 minutes. I want you to reflect in the next 20 minutes. And then the last 20 minutes, I want you to grow. And listening to our podcast counts as that. So if you want to listen to our 20-minute podcast, that's going to work in that slot, that time slot for you on Mondays.
Well, we were trying to time this for 20 minutes, just exactly like the 20 minutes in the morning that you can grow on. Very cool. All right. That's it. I encourage all of you to read the 5 a.m. Club and get your morning routine down. I think again, if you want to be successful, we copy what other successful people are doing, and there's an awful lot of successful people that are early risers. So encourage you to try it. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching this episode of Control and Compound. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you never miss a new episode. And if you're ready to learn more, head to our website, controlandcompound.com. The link's below.